we go. All right. Well, friends, thanks for joining us today to kind of talk about what's happened next for PazNaz kids and early childhood at PazNaz. I'm going to share my screen so that you can kind of see what I've got here. And let's see. Hey, Terry, would you be willing to, I don't know if you have the email that came from the form. Could you forward that to Julie? She's trying to get in, having trouble at the moment. So I might have typed the meeting info wrong. Thanks for doing that. Let me know if you don't have it. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can just see the details in front of you, and but feel free to ask questions as we go. And I will answer them to the best of my ability. It could very well be that you will ask a question to which I don't have an answer yet. And so then I will just say, we'll figure that out. And there's certainly details that that I think we still will be figuring out as we go as well. So hopefully not too many of those. I think we've got pretty much everything figured out, but we'll, part of this today for me is hearing what questions you ask, because I think that'll help us with the process of making sure we're getting everything covered as well. So don't hesitate to ask any questions. So as you know, we're aiming to start on May 30th with Children's Church. So stuff going on for the 9:30 worship hour. This is an interesting thing for us because the English community is worshiping communities meeting then, and the Cantonese will be doing that soon, next week, I think. And the Mandarin community, La Fuente, will not, at least for right now, be meeting at the same time. Armenian are always in the evening. And so look a little bit different as we try to figure out, you know, are all our kids going to be together? Is that going to be a couple different efforts to disciple kids? But so like I said, it's all a work in progress. But for now, here's where we're at. Nursery Care will kick off on May 30th during church. The 9:30 worship hour will be available from 9:15 to 10:55. And check-in will just happen rather than using the iPads for right now. We're just going to use clipboards to make sure all the info is right there with the folks doing care in the nursery. We don't want technology to be, you know, another thing to figure out while we're also figuring out all the other protocols and maybe new ways of doing things. So we're going old school. We're going to use clipboards for the time being. We may go back to the iPads for check-in. I'm sure we will at some point, but for right now, check-in is just going to be in the nursery. So if you have nursery kids 3 and under, they can go directly to the nursery for check-in. And diaper changing, I don't know if that applies to anybody here, because I'm guessing Elizabeth probably won't be dropped off yet, right, Jackie? Will be at the parent's discretion. So we don't want to say, hey, yeah, if you drop your kids off, we're going to change their diaper if they need it. We'll give an option to say, you know, if your kid needs a diaper change and you want us to call you, we're totally good to do that. So just make sure we have the contact info. So that's nursery. Not a whole lot of details there, aside from saying, which I'll say again later, we need volunteers. And this is a huge thing that Terry and Julie and I talked about before the pandemic, before we knew that any of this was going to happen, that we really want to lean into partnering with parents and saying over and over again, this is, you know, it's not a drop your kids off so they can learn about Jesus. It's a let's partner together in this, and we're a church family doing this together. So for us, that means asking parents to volunteer at least periodically in the nursery or in the cave. So hopeful that will become a part of our culture at PazNaz for kids ministry. Any questions about nursery care? That one's pretty basic, not too much going on, and I don't know that any. Well, actually, yeah, Micah would be in nursery care, huh? And Mr. Teddy Boy for a few more months. All right, so the more complex deal will be Children's Church. Hopefully not too complex, but a few more moving parts for that. Because we're anticipating a smaller group to start with, in part because of families just coming back from pandemic, in part because we've had a number of families move away, in part because La Fuente, the kids from La Fuente won't be with us, and not sure about Mandarin and Cantonese for a bit. We're anticipating a smaller group for sure. So because of that, we're going to keep the whole group, 4 years old through 5th grade together. We decided that for a couple reasons. One, just because we don't anticipate having a huge group. Two, so that your siblings, your kiddos can stay together if, unless they're in the nursery, to just kind of increase their comfort level there. Because we've got some great older kids that I think are really great with younger siblings. And so that will be a benefit in some ways as well. We'll still have adult leaders, adult volunteers that are assigned to 4 years old through kindergarten and 1st through 5th grade. So there'll still be not independent, but teams of adults that are assigned specifically to those age group kids. So if there's a younger kid that's having a hard time, then, there's this couple specific adults that are going to care for that. And that'll be established beforehand, but we're going to keep them all together for the time being. Again, this will definitely change as time goes on, because we recognize those groups, 3, 4, 5-year-olds need something different than, a 5th grader in terms of discipleship. But for the time being, this is kind of what we're leaning into. Whoops, moved too quickly. We're also going to shift the way that we are, or the time that we're doing children's church. So this is probably the biggest change that we're making, but this was a change we were already leaning into before pandemic, and that Pastor Ali Ravisi and I had talked about, and that is keeping our kids with us and ongoing. I think this will specifically be elementary kids, so kids in the cave, 1st to 5th grade. For now, we're going to include the 4 and 5-year-olds with them as well, just because they're going to be one big group. But they're going to stay with us in worship through the prayer time. Now, there's one reason that has to do with pandemic because of that. It just decreases the amount of time that we're together. We don't have to spend, an hour and a half in the cave. And so that's one reason to do it right now. But the primary reason that we want to do this is because as a youth pastor, I experienced a bunch of kids in 6th and 7th grade who they've been in children's church their entire lives. And for the first time, we're asking them to be in the adult worship service, and they have zero clue how to do that. It feels totally and completely foreign to them. And so we just really feel like, man, this is a skill we need to build into our kids to help them know, one, that they're a part of what's going on here. We don't want to just shuffle them off to their own space, even though obviously having time with other kids and with adults that are given to that task of discipling them is important, but we don't want to just kind of hide them away and bring them in for choir and then shuffle them back off. We want them to know that they're a part of us, the whole church community, and we want them to just have practice in being in the adult worshiping community or the whole church worshiping community, so that it doesn't feel so foreign to them when they get to that middle school age. So any questions about that? I know that's a really big shift. I'll talk about the logistics of that in a minute. But any questions just about that in terms of philosophy or why we're doing it, anything like that? All right, so Michelle asks a great question in the chat. Where's the pepper tree? So there's actually 2 pepper trees. This is PazNaz Culture 101 right here. So when a little bit of history, way back when the PazNaz congregation was meeting at their previous location on Mountain Street, but they had purchased this location. The story, which is a part of PazNaz history, it's close to the heart of those who were there at the time. And if you meet somebody like that, they will absolutely tell you this story, 100%, no questions asked. The whole congregation marched from Mountain Street to this property and gathered around the actual real pepper tree, which is outside. I'm pointing because I'm here at the church, but you don't know where I'm pointing. But it's up on Sierra Madre Boulevard. And it's the big tree that's right in the middle of the parking lot, up the steps. So there's big steps in the middle of the parking lot. It's that tree that's right at the top of those stairs with spotlights pointed up at it because it's that important. And so that pepper tree kind of represents the history and founding of the PazNaz campus here. But there's a model of the pepper tree inside. And so that's what I'm talking about here. We're not meeting at the outside pepper tree. There's a model of the pepper tree, which is in the foyer at the steps that lead directly down into the cave area. So if you've never seen that, you probably, the whole PazNaz foyer is a circle. So if you just keep walking, you'll find it eventually. But I think there's 2 doors that people are able to come into right now. One by Lee Chapel, and that would be the closest one to the pepper tree. So if you come into the sanctuary foyer from the Lee Chapel side, you would probably see the pepper tree. If you come in from the other entrance, which is closer to Arms Hall, you would take a left, and that'll get you to the pepper tree. Is that right, Terry? Did I say that all correctly? I think I got it. I'm pretty sure. I do this every once in a while. I walk those foyer spaces. So check-in for kids will be there pre-service. So if you're a parent of a 4-year-old through 5th grade, you would check them in with Miss Terry or somebody that's going to be set up near the pepper tree with a clipboard to sign in. They'll get a name tag. You'll get a handwritten name tag to turn in for checkout so that we know, hey, the right person's getting the right kid. And then that clipboard is going to, like I said, low tech, that clipboard is going to travel with the group so that when you do checkout, we're going to check off that name to make sure everybody is accounted for the whole time. It's especially important right now since we're going to be doing a little moving because during the service, kids are going to stay with parents or somebody through the prayer time. We decided to keep them in through the prayer time, again, because we feel like that's a really significant time for the life of the church and to give them the opportunity to see prayer being done, to go to the altar and be prayed for or pray for someone else is just a really important part of the life of the church. And so having our kids involved in that seems like a really important thing. So we'll keep them there through the prayer time. Likely, we will set up the whole service to have the passing of the peace take place after that prayer time so that then parents can exit that without being a disruption and walk with their kids back to that same check-in table by the pepper tree in the foyer. And then whoever's there with the clipboard will say, okay, we've got all these kids checked in, we've got all these kids lined up, let's go down to the cave. If a parent hasn't checked in before that, they can do that then, but obviously that's going to slow down the whole process. So we want parents to check in beforehand, if at all possible. So any questions on that so far? All right, feel free to jump in at any point if you have something pop up. So in terms of actually being in the cave, the plan, at least for the time being, is to do our lesson in the cave and potentially a coloring sheet or some other really simple activity that goes with the lesson, and then to head out to the elementary playground. So this is not the preschool playground, which is connected to Arms Hall and the Sunrise Preschool, but the playground that's on the other side. If you're in the lower parking lot, you just continue going around toward Reed Hall. And there's a small little playground, which is just behind Reed Hall. There's a new little playground equipment. There's some other little things to climb on. There's a yard to run in. So especially right now, just to eliminate as much time enclosed indoors as possible, we're going to spend as much time as we can outside, unless it's raining. That would be the only reason, I think, for now, that we would stay inside. So check out will happen at the playground. So we'll just keep the kids at the playground until worship service is done. Parents can come check out, and that'll happen at the gate, which is on the south side of that playground on the parking lot. So one more slide that kind of talks in a little more detail about all of that. Protocols for the cave. Obviously in the nursery, we're not asking kids to wear masks. That's not a thing. So, and social distancing in a nursery, what does that even mean? So it's kind of a, hey, if you're comfortable bringing your kids to the nursery, this is what we're doing. For the cave, we're gonna be seated socially distanced while inside, and we'll wear masks inside. I know for my kids, they're pretty comfortable with that. I'm guessing yours are too at this point, especially if they're going to school. That's just how it is for now. So if there's a major issue with that, we can talk about it. I'm sure we can be flexible. If there's a kid that, for whatever reason, special needs, has a hard time, we're going to be able to talk about that. But masks will kind of be the standard. When we go outside, I don't think we'll say, hey, take your masks off, but also it's not going to be as big a deal once we get outside either. So another reason to use the playground. We'll also be asking parents to sign a COVID covenant, which won't be too complex at this point, but basically just affirming that they're not going to bring their kids to church if they're sick or potentially sick, just to eliminate as much of that as possible. So that's kind of the basic plan. Any questions about that at all? All right. Feel free to speak up if something comes to mind. Just got a couple more things to share and then we'll finish up. So in terms of Sunday school, all of that was just for the 9:30 worship time. Our hope at this point is to aim towards July 25th as the time when we would kick off Sunday school. So that would be at the 11 o'clock Sunday school hour. Pastor Joe would really love for us to move that closer. And so we'll make some efforts on that, but we want to make sure that we've got all the children's church stuff squared away. We've got volunteers for both of those times. It's a lot of people to get into place. So again, the importance of having parents partner with us on this is really crucial. So that's what this last slide is, just another effort at saying, this is a really significant thing, and we're probably going to be asking repeatedly to say, hey, we want to partner in this together. And so doing our part means maybe you're a parent that's like, I would love to volunteer in the cave or in the nursery, and I'll do that a couple times a month, or I'll do that 1 week every single month. Or maybe you would say, no, it's not really my jam, or I already have other places of service, and so I can do it once every 8 weeks or once every 3 months even. Any of that would be helpful, because there's going to be some folks that are committed and regular, but we're always going to have spots that we need to fill with folks that aren't there every single week or every couple weeks. Really don't want parents to or anybody to miss every single adult worship service for the sake of caring for kids. Our hope is to be able to spread that out, and also to not have to pay people to be in there, which is a portion of what we were doing in the past. Not a bad deal. I love the people that we hired for that. They were great workers. But I think just for the sake of the culture of our church and the way that we think about discipling our kids, I think it's far better if we say, yeah, we as parents and grandparents and people who just love the kids in our community are going to partner together to care for this. Even if our favorite thing to do on Sunday morning is not sit in the nursery, we're going to do that for the sake of the other parents that we love and are going to do it for us as well. So any thoughts or questions on that? Go ahead, Ms. Terry.
I said a question. In the past, we've had people who were like background checked. Are we restarting that? I heard that like it's only good for a certain amount of time. Do we need to re-background check people, or how is that going to work?
Yes. So our child protection policy says that we re-up those every 3 years, and not just background check, but we also have a abuse prevention program that we have people go through. It's a little video series and you take a quiz at the end. It's kind of hard to watch, but also really, really important stuff. So yeah, as we get all of this going again and we fill in our calendar for folks that are going to be volunteering in kids ministry, I'm just going to go through and check the status of all of those folks. Some people are still good. If their background check was done 2 years ago, they're good to go and we can just roll them right in. But we have a lot that need to be updated, and I'm sure we'll have new folks coming in that will initiate the background check and curriculum procedure for them as well. So yeah, we'll just check everybody that's coming into the volunteer schedules at this point. Any other questions? Thoughts, ideas? All are welcome. Yes, Ms. Terry.
I know Jackie Canoyer runs a Sign Up Genius account for church and for Helping Hands. And I was wondering, could we have something like that online so that parents could see? I just went away. So parents could see what positions are open. I don't know if I think that would be maybe a good way to at least know like what positions are available and what are filled. And
yeah, I think that's a great way to do that. I think that'd be awesome. We'll get that set up.
Yeah, and it's just my own account, FYI.
Yeah, okay. I have one.
It's just the free version, so.
Yeah, I have a free version that I've used for student ministry stuff, for volunteering on that. And so I'm not sure what email address that's connected to, but we'll get one set up. The free version works pretty well.
Okay.
Any other questions, thoughts, ideas? Right. Well, just one more announcement then. If you were tuned in for the annual meeting, you heard this, but Miss Terry Thone has agreed to step into the role of interim children's ministry director. So she's been doing all this as a volunteer along with Julie, and I'm just so thankful for both of you for all the work that you've done. I hope you get to hear my thoughts for you in the annual meeting, but just so grateful, Julie and Terry, for all the work that you have put in over the past 14 months on caring for our kids and creating discipleship content. You both are awesome. And so Miss Terry is going to be stepping into kind of oversight leadership of everything for children's ministries to kind of be the point person for that. And I'm really thankful for her willingness to do that. Yeah, she's going to be the lady in charge. And go Terry. And she will do a phenomenal job as she does with everything that she puts her hand to. So excited for that. And one more time, any other questions on any of this?
I was just wanted to say, yeah, Pastor Joe just talked to me this past week, and after talking with my family about it, they thought it would be good for me to step into helping the church in this way at this time. And I was really thinking, if you happen to watch the Godly Play videos, we've been talking about the prophets and how the Holy Spirit has been coming on them to give them strength and to give them courage and to help them know God's words for the people. And I really got the feeling like, wow, maybe that's where God has me. A friend I talked to her and she said, look, you get to practice what you've been preaching, because I don't feel like I have all the answers. I definitely have been involved in children's ministry for a long time. And I taught first grade, I taught fifth grade professionally, but that was like a long time ago. And so definitely the faces that I see on the screen and the people that are on this call, I definitely hope that you will partner to help out, because this cannot be one person. And yeah, there's no way one person can do all of this. And I think if everyone does their little part all together, it can be an incredible ministry. And we have to step up for our kids, and not the future of the church, but the now of the church. These are our little people, and it's our chance to pour into them so that they can grow up and know that God loves them and serve him. So we'll see. Little by little, we'll all work together and do good. So
amen. Thanks, Terry.
Yeah.
Excited for what God's doing here. All right. Well, if there's no other thoughts or questions, feel free to let other parents know that this will be on the PazNaz Family Life YouTube channel. I'll hope to get that up just in the next few minutes here, so that all this info will be out there, and we'll be publicizing it more next week as well, so parents know what to expect. So thank you, friends, for joining us today. I appreciate all of you very much, and I appreciate you being a part of this today and a part of our church family. Thank you all.
Okay.
Have
Bye-bye.
a great day.
Thanks.